We know that Musk and his doge team don't know what the hell they're doing. They are completing these fake ass audits like within a day per agency, and it makes no sense to me because anybody who's in the business world know that audits take much longer than that. They go through the company's financial with a fine-tooth comb. I can't help it that Trumpers really believe this damn lie. But that just lets me know that perhaps they don't work in that kind of capacity. Numbers might be too much for them. I don't think it has been going very smoothly for Musk. We already know that the media has already talked about the argument that Elon Musk and Little Marco had about this very same issue. But I did want to talk about how some of the workers are being rehired again. So Trump realized that he has to rehire some of those essential workers. Now, around February 15, the FDA fired around 700 probationary workers, many of them who were not paid through taxpayer money. About a week later, the agency had to reinstate dozens of employees, particularly those involved in the food safety and review of medical devices. What about the workers involved in the bird flu response? Well, around February 14th, the Department of Agriculture continued plans to fire thousands of employees, including hundreds of plant and animal inspection programs. Days later, the agency said that it was trying to reverse the firing of employees involved in the response to the nation's growing bird flu outbreak. What about the workers that maintain the nuclear arsenal? February 13th, the Energy Department began laying off 1,000 of its probationary workers, including 300 that work with the National Nuclear Security Administration. They are responsible for the nation's warheads. One day later, at least some of them that were dismissed, that worked directly with the nuclear warheads, were asked to come back. I wonder if they ever did. Then let's talk about the employees that were rehired after political pushback. Well, let us talk about workers that manage the 9/11 Survivor Health Program. Well, around February 15, the Center of Disease Control and Prevention called hundreds of workers, including 16 probationary workers, who managed the World Trade Center Health Program. Several days later, after bipartisan pushback, the Trump administration said that those fired workers can return to their jobs. Another program was scientific researchers, including military veterans. February 18th, the National Science Foundation fired 168 employees. Less than 2 weeks later, the foundation began reversing dismissals of 84 probationary employees in response to a ruling by a federal judge. This is why I say if you are a federal worker, team up with some of your workers and file a lawsuit against this government. And then we have the temporary reinstatement and pauses in firing. And that is because this firing spree has a slew of lawsuits. And now some of these cases have resulted in a temporary reversal. And that includes employees at the Federal Financial Watchdog. Almost 200 of them were fired at the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. Days later, a federal judge ordered temporary halt to firings. What about the employees at the International Aid Department? On February 6th, the Trump administration said it's going to reduce the numbers of USAID workers from 10,000 to 290. I don't even see how it's possible. He wants the program to fail. A day later, the federal judge ordered that those firings be halted. However, 2 weeks later after that, the judge ruled that the administration could proceed on plans to lay off or put on paid leave for many agency employees. USAID moved to fire around 2,000 U.S.-based workers and put up thousands of foreign service officers and others on paid leave. Then we have workers of the Agricultural Department. Well, on February 13th, the Agricultural Department began cutting thousands of jobs, including 3,400 in the Forest Service. 3 weeks later, a Merit System Protection Board issued a stay ordering the department to reinstate fired workers while an investigation continues. 6 workers from 6 federal agencies. Well, the Office of Personnel on February 14th sent an email ordering federal agencies to fire tens of thousands of probationary workers. Less than 2 weeks later, the Merit System Protection Board temporarily reinstates 6 fired federal workers from the Department of Agriculture, Education, Energy, Housing and Urban Development and Veterans Affairs and the Office of Personnel Management. If you want to read the rest of the article, it is in New York Times today. But this is unbelievable. I really encourage federal workers to make sure that they fight against this administration and take lawsuits against them. Put Trump's name, put Musk's name on there, and the agency head, because this shouldn't be happening. Anyway, you guys have a blessed day.